Uh, Hello. So maybe we're starting from like opening. There is quite a lot of discussion about AR and augmented reality. Why do you believe there is potential in that topic?
Ooh, this is a good opener. I guess I'll start with a short story. So, like, the aha moment. I think each of us in games, depending on whatever we're doing, we kind of have an aha moment, something that clicks with our creative mind or our professional mind. For me, it was back with VR. Actually, was like my first experience with spatial computing in a way that just like changed how my brain saw things. I don't know anyone here that tried, like, hands up. Oculus Rift, like DK1, early, like 2012, 2013 or 2013, right? It was a really basic demo. It was in my office, and someone brought it, and it was a roller coaster demo. And when you're playing video games, you're used to having a border of your TV or your desktop monitor, but turning left and right, like, I couldn't see the edge of the screen, right? And suddenly my mind is like, oh my gosh, there's just so much space to explore. And I feel like that was kind of a natural progression through augmented reality. Later on, fast forward 8 years, and then Magic Leap was starting to talk about their hardware device. And this, for me, was kind of a transition from virtual reality to augmented reality, and understanding that it's not just an indoor, like, in my room personal experience, but this can be a very social experience. After I bought my first Magic Leap headset, my son was at home, and I was doing, I just got my device like 30 minutes before, and I was setting it up in the living room, and he comes and he throws a ball at me, right? He's like 5 years old, and I caught the ball. And I'm glad I caught the ball, because it would have hit me if I didn't catch it. And it was just this moment of connection, of like, oh my gosh, like, I can have this experience. I'm wearing glasses right now, but I can still be connected to my world and to my family and to, like, social. So this was this aha moment of, like, there is, I don't know, there's just kind of an unknown bit of the world out there to explore, and we get to create interesting new content for that space.
And what is in this case, like, in following on that, like, what is in this, like, geolocation as the element is, like, do you see it as, like, like, crucial part of it, or, like, connection of both creates this experience? How do you see that?
What do you think, Spishing?
Well, hello. So my aha moment was actually when I had opportunity to to post that I'm at this location right now. So when you had the first check-ins on Foursquare, that was over 12 years ago, and we had this excitement when we were capable to share that we are somewhere in the real world, and other people can actually see this, and they can comment this. They can they can come to you. Oh, you've been at this event. Oh, this guy's at this event, so I'm going to be there as well. So understanding that suddenly the world is much smaller thanks to the technology, actually put us with a concept. Firstly, it was Foursquare, allowing people to become the mayors of the location. So, like, somebody who was frequently checking at the location, he was becoming a mayor. So, yeah, I'm the guy, who is at that place very often, and we love that. We decided, to build a game out of it, and for the AR thing. Still, I believe it will come. Not yet, but the geolocation, this is the moment.
So like, in following that, so, like, how those, like, in general, geolocation and AR games are different from, like, typical games, if you define it.
Well, first, so there are a few aspects. The first one is the development, and it's not so fun to develop geolocation games.
This is true. It's really difficult, guys. Yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, you don't have, the creative artist. He's not, he's not very powerful in the company. And the most powerful person is actually the backend developers. They are the first-class citizens. They know how to run the server, they know how to collect data, they know how to move the data, and they are coming from the backgrounds where which are not so fancy. You cannot just move from other gaming studio people to geolocation easily, because it's a lot of data. It's not a lot of pictures. It's not a lot of creatures. It's not a lot of animation. It's basically this tech stack where currently in company we have over 30 developers. And so the ratio between backend developer to the design people, it's like 5-1. So it's very opposite to the creative gaming studio.
And in this case, you are working with some even geolocation apps and games like how, for example, promotion of those types of apps is different from typical apps in general.
Thank you. My aha moment came when we started working with Appland. It's a game, it's an application where you can buy virtually property, which is tied really real property worldwide. Let's say, just imagine you are buying a White House in US, right? So, wow, that's how we can promote this. What type of advertisement we should show to our, let's say, users. It's a little bit different. It's also connected with the geolocation, where we need to target, for example, in which location are we going broad to the world, showing that, okay, this is a possibility that you can have and you can buy this property, or we are localizing it. We are doing narrow targeting, let's say. From the other side, for another, let's say, not gaming company, for Iralo, it seemed that a lot of people know this, we were targeting travelers at the airports, which is we are taking those users, those who are mostly very narrow again targeting and very relevant ads to those in the location.
And Josh, following on that, what kind of opportunities the AR in geolocation is giving to developers? What do you think? What's uncovered to them in those technologies?
That's a great question. Can I do a quick survey of the audience? Who here is in development, working in game dev? Back-end developers? Any first-class citizens? Yeah. I would say developer adjacent. So this design, UX, marketing, communications in game dev studios also. That's cool. So opportunities. Do we have our slides?
Yes.
Do we have those too?
Can we show those slides? Maybe.
There's a couple slides kind of touching on opportunity that I think would be helpful. Nice, okay. Go to, oh, yes. Thank you.
So Joe prepared a few examples.
Yeah, and something about AR that's really difficult. Still images can't really communicate spatial concepts very, very accurately. But this is who we are, Niantic. We inspire people to explore the world together, and that's the company mission. And as part of that, some of you are familiar with our earliest title, which was Ingress Prime. This was first built out while Niantic was still a company inside of Google. And then we made a April Fool's video. I don't know if you guys knew this. Pokemon Go started as an April Fool's video. It was a video that showed people using their phones exploring caves, mountains, and taking pictures of Pokemon, and everyone loved it on YouTube. And then so suddenly the internal Niantic team at Google was like, we have to make this real. And so the Pokemon company and Google gave Niantic their blessing, co-invested, and then Niantic spun out to then make the full game, Pokemon Go. And that was the global sensation and, I don't know, social phenomenon, I guess. Maybe the first time in my life I saw people, multiple generations outside walking around experiencing something together that wasn't a theme park, And then we've had other games that have followed Pokemon Go to varying success. Pikmin Bloom in partnership with Nintendo. Peridot is our first, it's a first original IP from Niantic. And this was our first attempt to 100% AR. So kind of tying it back into your question, what are the opportunities here? This was our experiment. Like, what works well for a game that is 100% AR? Will it kill your phone and your battery? Absolutely, right? AR is difficult on every level. And then most recently, we have Monster Hunter now. So this is interesting, but what I really wanted to show you was this, is in our exploration of tools for developers and kind of integrating AR into our own titles, we realized very quickly that like the tooling for making great augmented reality for spatial computing is just not, it's not what we need it to be. We were using Unity with different levels of like integrations with ARKit and ARCore in our stack. And it was, hey, we want to make our own toolkit, Niantic Lightship. And then this is kind of the opportunities that we're seeing right now. These are third-party game developers making content. Here on the left, these are the first two are cool games teams. This one on the far left is a location-based kind of multiplayer laser tag game based out of the UK. The second one is a team out of Finland, Helsinki, making skate tricks, and it's like really small micro skateboarders, large skateboarders with maps, and also geolocation for exploration and creating new skate spots. Tourism is like a supernatural use case, I think, for location-based AR. And I want to talk about this one for a sec, because this to me is a super example of partnerships. There's a really small kind of art studio called Megaverse, and they partnered with the city of Sheffield in the UK. And the city of Sheffield said, hey, we want Sheffield. Does anyone know Sheffield? Anyone been to Sheffield? I had never been to Sheffield. But they were like a really ambitious kind of tourism board that says, we want to bring people to Sheffield. People only know about Sheffield because of Doctor Who, apparently. And so they said, we want...
Sheffield United, I believe.
Also yeah, that's right. But they made this experience in partnership with the city, and they made 5 locations around Sheffield where they kind of had art installations set up like this. And so the city was promoting it together with the developer, together with the artists, and these were like local artists as well. And then this final one is like education and cultural preservation. This team's specific to New York and San Francisco and kind of preserving these locations. So different business models, different types of art and experience, but like what we're seeing is AR kind of exists naturally in these gaming segments and verticals, but also quite naturally in these other business environments too.
So that's actually like if we follow that, like I see that it has a lot of use cases beyond just the gaming as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the invitation here today. Is like I think each of us kind of are participating in some kind of business. Some of us are students. I think I met a lawyer back here also, and some professors in physics, and just like everyone's kind of bringing something special, I think, to your team or your company. And AR, I don't know, like think back about whatever your first video game was, right? And then fast forward till now, you've seen so many advancements in video games. I think Star Trek, space, the final frontier, right? Like geolocation to me is like the next space that we get to occupy, as players, gamers, experiential, humans. So yeah, it's fun work.
Okay, so like thank you for those examples. Like maybe Zbig, you could like share about your projects you're working on and what kind of use cases you're thinking about if you think about AR and geolocation.
So this is the latest game we are working on. It's actually taking Monopoly famous board game to the real life, and instead of 32 properties that normally you have in a game, we wanted to add over 100 million, and that will allow you to play, with a geolocation. So actually you can buy nearly every building on the world which matters. And what does it mean, which matters? It matters when people are taking photo of it, or where people are making check-ins, if they're actually leaving any kind of digital footprints. This means that this building matters. So it's quite difficult to evaluate those buildings, because if you have over 100 million of them, then you need to categorize them. And in real life, when you open the app, you're actually seeing your neighborhood. And in that neighborhood, sometimes we are seeing a bus stop, some tram stop, restaurant, coffee place, school, or government building. And you need to build a valuation tool for for those buildings to actually have an understanding that this one is worth this amount, this one is worth this amount. And this is actually the secret sauce and the magic which we are trying to do. And the hardest part is to evaluate when you have, for example, a Chinese restaurant and let's call it a Polish restaurant. Yeah. So which one of them should be, which should have this color on the Monopoly card and this valuation. So we are taking over a lot of data sources, starting from NASA globe pictures done by night, and we have the night. We have the entire world done by night, and we have the understanding where is the city center based on lightning. And so the light pollution is actually allowing us to understand where some more valuable buildings are. But that wouldn't be enough because the airport in Somalia also have a very nice lightning. So comparing, for example, to city of Tokyo. So we had to add additional layers of data, which is coming from open data sources, and it is allowing us to actually evaluate those things. So where we are. Okay. So here we can see the map. We can see the cards, and in the past we had the biggest struggle what to show on this small device. Are we going to show everything, what is around you? If that's so, the experience for the player wouldn't be so nice because, in some location in 500 meters radius, you can have few thousand of buildings. In one building, you can have 40 companies, and the user experience is not so great. So we have figured out the new way to show it based on the user experience and user progress. But now I would love to come back to the question. If you could repeat, that would be awesome.
So I see Monopoly word. Like what's like behind the name, or why it actually has that name? What it means, that word?
Okay. So the concept we had in mind, this was actually coming from our previous games, from the landlord games. You are buying properties, but buying properties it's a gaming concept. So we think that creating a word for geolocation is actually creating a platform. And when we say platform, we see the potential for, let me see, by adding things to the map. And actually adding things from the real world. So if there is a Pizza Hut building there, it should be there. And if it is working, like, why not connect this Pizza Hut? Why not connect this KFC? If there is some kind of local program, like picking up garbage, why not to have it in a game when you have an audience that could be interested, to have some kind of relation with it. So we are experiencing now how to connect a gaming concept with the real world things and put it into the game, and then have a platform where we can invite other partners, invite brands, where they can have a connection with the target group that normally doesn't want to have a connection.
Oh, thank you very much. So in this case, if we like before we go, if we talk about this data, I think data and technology, like backend, is coming quite often to the space. For example, Joe, are you defining like Niantic as the tech company or like gaming company? How you?
That's a great question. And I think every organization probably goes through some kind of evolution or like re-identifying ourselves over time as like our products kind of evolve and our understanding of how we're positioned. Niantic started as a data company, as a maps company, right? That the original founders made Google Earth worked very heavily within Google for Google Maps. It was a data company, data visualization, maybe is a better way to say that. As they spun out into Niantic to make Pokemon Go, the company became a games company, right? And then I think in the last 2 years that I've been at the company, I've seen this kind of a coming back to kind of Niantic's roots in a bit. Sorry, we're gonna do this real quick. Doop, boop, boop. Sorry a second. This is a great question. Here we go. So like, this is, Keyhole founded, acquired by Google, spun out to make Niantic, and kind of rediscovering our roots a little bit with like what geolocation means. Pokemon Go, I would say, did not really start as an AR game, as a social community-based map-based game, right? And now, right now, what Niantic is doing is kind of becoming that maps company again, in that we are seeing this need to create a new 3D map of the world. I think we're used to like Google Earth and Street View, and these are car-centric. And this is a paradigm or philosophy maybe of like maps. As human beings, like we're kind of being told like car-based map data is the same as human data, and it is not quite the same, right? What my eyes see when I'm walking around my neighborhood or places is very different than what a car sees when it's driving in the middle of the road. So like Niantic locations are human-centric locations, you could say. So your Pokestops and Pokegyms, these are human-driven locations that cars shouldn't go. There's a bit of safety and privacy and trust there that has to be taken into account. And especially your team, one of your specialties is like 3D building map data, which is really cool. And I see that as a nice complement to like the human-centric data that Niantic is creating. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now is, not that one. It's this hyper-specific location-based data that we call VPS, or a visual positioning system. So watch this digital hook actually latch onto the physical anchor here in just a second. That's how precise, centimeter accuracy for location-based content, where digital content can be mapped and anchored in a very precise location. We've all experienced GPS. There's this wide margin for error when you're walking around the city and your compass is freaking out, right? So that's where the VPS, visual positioning system, is quite a bit more accurate. We're taking 3D scans of environments, and these were LiDAR to start with, and now we're kind of evolving those into Gaussian splats for really, really hyper-accurate 3D maps of the world. So it's super ambitious, We're like, hey, let's make a 3D map of the world. Easy, right? The world's really big. It is so incredibly big, and we might not ever get there, but we're definitely trying to work towards that future where we have a big 3D map of the world that you can then build games on top of. And what's fun now is kind of using AI as a way to complement that. I'm very limited in what I can scan and what I can do, but we want AI to assist us to create game-ready assets using our scans in a way so developers and other creators can take their content and put it on a map and then make it social for other people to experience. So yeah, we're making 3D maps, man.
Okay.
Long answer for your very good question. Yeah.
Thank you, Amalia. And like it's like you were working with like a few geolocation projects in terms of like promotion, like your company. So what you can say about LTV of those of those users in general in those projects? Like how you define like what is difference versus in case when you are able to understand the right use case for the specific user location, and how it works actually in this case.
Here we comes that the product is really very important. The LTV comes from the product. Let's say sometimes the clients are coming and say, okay, the ROI or the ROAS that we are measuring is really very low. What's happening? So, okay, let's first go to the product. How it's working. For example, again, I will bring the Iralos example. The product itself is really, really very good done, and people are using it. So technically, what we use, different channels, different tactics, different hacks, let's say, because we started to use started working with Iralo from the beginning, from even the soft launch, let's say, the strategy. As soon as you have the product, as soon as you think that you are going to launch the product, to work and talk to the marketers, how you should do the pre-orders, how you should do the soft launch, because all these steps will bring you more growth in the future, not in the middle.
But I understand in this case the key is really in this kind of this understanding of this location of the user, because you are like targeting the right.
Yes.
And
yes.
then that the user have very specific use case for that specific location. Yeah, I'm in
Yes.
UK or in Poland. We want to.
Yes, exactly. Again, it depends on the product. As we are working mostly in that category, not in gaming, augmented reality or geolocation, but for other categories. Let's say it's travel, music, and other applications mostly. I think we need to localize, or we need more cooperation in the gaming companies, how to adopt or how to adjust that into their gamings, let's say.
Thank you. And if we are talking about this localization, like Joe, coming to you again, like, do you think it's kind of just use case for like US tier 1 markets, or like it's something that can be very very common for like emerging markets, like looking from the user's perspective and technology perspective? How do you see it?
Oh, I love that question. And that was a big part of actually why I joined Niantic. I was at Magic Leap for a time, and really cool hardware, but it was also difficult because it's like, a super expensive hardware device that most people, developers around the world can't get access to, or it's not practical for like commercial sales. So actually working in mobile, even with all of mobile's difficulties and challenges, was still attractive to me from just an accessibility perspective. So talking about emerging markets, right? I think every region kind of has a different, approach or behaviors around walking, leaving your house and walking, right? So in the US, like most cities are not super walkable. You have to have a vehicle or a personal car to just drive anywhere you want to go, right? But Japan, for example, it's very, very common to go walk anywhere you need to, take public transportation. And so one of our titles, Monster Hunter Now, it's performing very well in Japan. Yes, because of the IP, but also because people love walking around, and it's just a very common practice. So I think every region's a little different. We hope, we're trying to inspire people everywhere globally to get out and move. And we see LATAM, Europe, Asia, East Asia as like, areas of varying, I'd say, activity in that regard. But yeah, localization, different. I don't know. Does that answer the question on like emerging markets?
Yes, but in this case, like like and understand it's more like the technical abilities and like adjustment to the specific like devices, and like maybe like this big would like
I'd like to add something. When you are talking about different markets, yes, for geolocation, for example, Turkey. This is an amazing example. People love to check in there. They have so many coffee places, and when we look at our data set, the biggest number of per square kilometer number of check-ins right now you receive in Turkey. The reason for it is just the people. There's a culture, like people love to check in. They love to share that they are right now in the coffee place, or they have visited this this space, and this is the culture based. In the Western countries, now there is a privacy things. I'm not going to share my location. I'm not going to do those things. This is now coming. So they had at the beginning this Foursquare, the technology, and I'm going to share everything. And now I'm not going to share because of the privacy. Yeah, somebody will see that I'm doing something unlawful or something. Still, we are observing a lot of check-ins, and we are seeing where players are located. We are seeing them, and it would be amazing if we would be capable to show them, to show one player, then there is another player close to him. But this is illegal. This is what will not happen for the safety reasons, of course. But the gameplay, that would be amazing if you could really see the other person on the map. That's just what I can add here.
Okay. Yeah.
I would like to add here some localization tricks that we are using in general. It's not only for the gaming, for other applications. Use the color of those countries. Use the cultural festivals, events that they are providing. One example I can bring, we were promoting something like gaming in Lebanon, and Lebanese used to write Arabic words in English letter. So we were creating ads showing, let's say, comparing, like testing, right? Something in Arabic and something Arabic but in English letter. And the second one was winning. So try to figure out what is working for that, let's say, culture. You cannot show, let's say, English ad to everyone, right? Localize it and use the tactic, use what is very common to that region.
Thank you. Maybe someone from the audience would like to ask any question? No? Okay. Keep it going, yeah?
I have like
Yeah.
a ton of questions, but I chose one. I'm developing AR games, and one of the problems I see is that one of the main problem is the battery drainage. And how do you see when our technology would be good enough to offer the good AR with the VPS, with the involvement of the AI, but suited to our current phones? When we will win the race here?
Oh man, yeah, optimization in battery drainage, right? So you've all experienced your phone battery dying at unopportune times when you're out and about. My favorite swag that Niantic gives employees is an external battery pack, and I have it in my backpack over here. I'll show it to you after. But like, yeah, right now it's like when I'm talking to developers. It's very practical. So it's not like draw calls, it's not asset optimization so much as when are you activating your camera, and depth sensors is usually a big draw on battery. So it's finding when do I need to use depth meshing and when do I need to turn it off. Applications that leave it running continuously will just like absolutely destroy your battery, but you usually don't need it on full time. Usually you just need it there for the first few moments where you can have the content placed accurately. And then it can be dynamic kind of, but in short sessions. So typically I'm seeing like, you probably have better data on this, but what does like an active user session look like, I think for us it's like it ranges from like 5 to 15 minutes is kind of, there's a sweet spot somewhere in there. So you don't actually need them to be in AR for like much longer than that.
Well, we see this kind of high retention, low attention activity. So like you are doing this several times per day. So you have several sessions, like about 5 per day, which are a couple of minutes. So this is with geolocation gaming. But there are other issues, like first of all, if you would like to download the game, would you like to download the entire map, for your city or for your country? That would be 1 gigabyte or even more. Then, what would be because the GPS is not causing a lot of problems. The biggest issue is that developers, they have to optimize things for over 10,000 devices. So if you have this kind of thing, you don't optimize. Or you optimize after 2 years of progress of the game. So actually now we have paid the technical debt, and let's do those performance things. This is the real approach. So waiting for the devices means waiting for the new technology. I think I'm not sure this is like 5 years. New batteries in the phones.
Oh man. I don't know. I think it's a continual problem. I honestly don't think we'll ever get to like the promised land of like all day, battery. And like even for example, right now, Spishik and I were both wearing the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. These, if I'm actively taking video and using like the AI inside, it will last maybe 4 or 5 hours.
I took a
that.
photo of you saying
Just
that.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at me.
There we go.
Thank you.
One more for everybody. I'm just kidding. Okay. There's that GDPR I have to be mindful of. We don't have that in the States. So battery usage. But I think even, what's the sign say? We have 15? Thank you. Okay. I think development, there's always just like weird things. I don't know. I call them creative constraints, right? creative constraints with battery right now. For example, with phones, it's actually not very ergonomic to be holding your phone up for like much longer than maybe 2 minutes. Your arm just gets tired. We are lazy human beings that our bones are, in such a way that I don't want to hold my phone up like this. In AR, it's easy to think, I want to look up at the sky. I want to see kaiju and Godzilla all the time. Actually, you do for about 30 seconds, and then you're like, I'm good. My arm's tired, right? So like we have to optimize the creative experience within these constraints of what the hardware can actually do and what the compute is. But yeah, I think I'm happy to see the progression of mobile devices, battery, what the sensors are doing, and now the cameras. I love seeing LiDAR directly on iPhones, for example, and I think it's just going to get better. And like with Gaussian splats now, just like being more common and being able to use regular RGB camera frames for capturing depth data, it's just going to get more and more exciting with all that. Hope that answers your question. All right? All right, cool. Next.
Okay, the first question is about, I have a few questions, but I'll start with the first one. I'm from One to Tribe, my name is Wojtek, and we developed the geolocation games in 2003, 2004. It was based on the classic phones. And LBS, location-based services. So it was at this time, at those times, this was like several 100,000 people playing the games, and there was a promise in front of us that there will be a market for that. And apparently, this market, comparing to the huge gaming market, is still very small. I mean, I appreciate what you do, but basically, you are still the niche. And the question is, what is the innovation trigger that will bring this to the mass market? Because this is, we as a company went to the social gaming, then the typical gaming. Now we go do gamification. We're also using augmented reality in stores, etc., etc. But basically, the question is, what could be this tipping moment? Yeah, because actually we are still. I mean, this is like 10th or 20th conference on which the AR is still. Is the hope of the humanity, yeah? Nothing happened, really. I mean, not nothing, Pokémon Go happened, yeah? But basically...
Yeah, what's the tipping point, right?
Yeah, where is the tipping point? I'm not asking for a prognosis, because it's probably not possible, but what is your opinion about this?
Yeah, I think our Niantic stance on this, and this is good for Amalia's kind of expertise too, is... We have a web product called Eighth Wall, and it's for web-based AR. So like I think there's a very practical barrier to entry, a friction point for users to just downloading an app. Step one. And the way that we want to get past that is through web. And web technologies are advancing super fast for really good AR. Still has limitations, of course, but I think that's one avenue that we're like really bullish on promoting and building out is we have the walled gardens that we're all kind of trying to operate in, but the web is still the web, and like you can have really accessible AR at your fingertips that has not been easily accessible. So right now, web, at least for Niantic, is primarily built around marketing campaigns, short form content. But I think very soon you're going to start to see longer form content, full games, full player profiles, and like deep gameplay, that can all be hosted over web services. Okay. So I think that's one. And then the second approach is like, I think Niantic, we're in an interesting / weird position where every time we put out another first-party title, like, are we cannibalizing like our own audiences? Are we taking them away from Pokemon Go and just putting them in another bucket? Are we actually growing this economy at all, right? And the way that we want to approach that is a shared map. Rather than having like 5 different games, 5 different maps, is that maybe you can call it like a metaverse approach, but not Web3 metaverse. What I mean is like actually have a shared game space where different audiences can transition from game to game without having to jump over to a different application. So actually having kind of like shared backend services where you can experience the same map and different gameplay on top of that. So those are 2 ways I think that we want to like grow the space and help push towards that tipping point. Because it's there's a lot of friction and there's a lot of challenges to like growing that out, right?
Zbig, would like to add something to this?
Yeah, I would love to. So you are saying it's a niche. Well, we are all competing with other games, and we are competing for time. We are competing for the time that players are going to spend. And the winner takes all, who has generating the biggest amount of fun. So the Niantic, they have made, when they have launched Pokemon Go, they have made amazing success at the beginning when they have destroyed everything. It was not because of the technology, it was because it was generating fun. This is our opinion. And if any geolocation game will make people happy more than playing something like free match, then we will succeed. This is so, and we will be not a niche. So this is the always question: do you want to compete with over 1,000 other free match games, or RPGs? Where there's when you look in the App Store, there are not thousands; there are tens of thousands of them. And if you are in geolocation, well, yeah, there's one company. Hopefully, when we launch our product, there will be 2 companies, and then the rest. But definitely, we are competing with others with the element of fun. Who will be the best fun generator?
I would like to add here some marketing tricks that you can use also. So let's take the organic part, App Store optimization for Google and iOS. Like I'm talking about only mobile apps, right? And then for the UA paid acquisition, go together, let's say, to not leave only, so let's say, okay, what organic I will have, what numbers from organic I will have, and then I will think about the paid acquisition. Now combine both of them, because both of them, they work really very well. Use different tactics, different channels, and in this case, the creatives are really very key points, what type of creatives you need to use, especially at the moment when you have these scan issues or challenges for iOS applications. It makes you like spending more, it makes you have more tons of creatives to test which is working, and in this case you can position yourself in a higher ranks, let's say, if you have more creatives. But I will be very happy to talk and let's say put some tactics for you.
We went out of this market, but basically we are. But anyway, maybe it's time to get back. But one more question, very quick. AI. I mean, we are experimenting, for example, with using the AI. It's not about geolocation, it's about more what Niantic is doing to recognize where I am, what's in front of me, and do you do something? I mean, using your engine, is it possible to mix this world map with, for example, AI-based segmentation?
So my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me happy to hear that you're thinking about that. This is gonna be...
Okay, so I need just to dig into the documents on your page.
Yeah, documentation, man. Big fan of the docs. So we call it semantic segmentation. And I think this is a really cool process where we're training computers to see things through human eyes. I think we, as humans, we have been adapted to try to think like computers. How does a computer see a world, right? But we're trying to train it the opposite way. And that's what we're doing with the segmentation. I think we have over 200 channels now of understanding. So really practically, the camera on your phone, you can point it at a tree and it knows this is a tree. So you can kind of create specific behaviors or gameplay mechanics that are like, I want to harvest wood, Minecraft style. If I point my camera at the ground, I'm going to harvest dirt or rocks or something.
Can I train train these models? I mean, can I add my own object definitions or?
Right now, off the shelf, like when I'm working with teams, they make requests. They're like, Joe, I would like more couches. Can you please train your models on more, living room sofas? And I say yes. And then I tell my back-end team, hey, train more sofas. So right now, there's not a way. You could probably actually, you know what? You can, yes. There's the Skatrix. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I just did.
Okay, I can ask you after the...
It's okay. The skateboarding app that I was showing, they have their own model as well for specific, like, concrete surfaces that they're not part of our semantic channels, but it's their own model that they've trained for.
So you
can make your own.
You can connect the models or make them.
Correct.
Pipe the models. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Wojtek. 5 minutes? What we got? Thank you.
Okay, so I think during in the previous answers there was a few words about new devices. How do you see that kind of coming, and what do you think can change in this AR and geolocation space? Both guys.
Are you talking about wearable augmented reality?
Yeah, different.
Very cool. Okay.
Different types of devices.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something can be big or still?
Yeah, we're big believers in that, and that's a big reason why I think it's a difficult space to operate in because it's still a relatively small market, a niche within a niche within a niche, maybe you could say. But seeing Meta in particular pour billions of dollars into the growth of an ecosystem of hardware, I think is beneficial for a lot of developers right now, and we're trying to be part of that too. So Niantic right now, we just announced the Peridot game, our original IP for the Meta Quest 3 device in their app lab, and it's using environmental scene understanding, kind of a Tamagotchi experience where you have a little pet living in your space. We recognize and understand the form factor right now is not for all-day use cases, and it's primarily for indoor use cases. Mm-hmm. What we want to be prepared for is when they're all-day use, good battery, but also outdoors. Right now, hardware is not spec'd for outdoor use, right? But if we wait, then we'll be behind. And so we're trying to just actively develop right now for all these kind of current devices so that we can continue to understand and prepare, but also make sure the developer tools are prepared and ready for these new pipelines, right?
And Zbig, how do you see it?
Well, we have created monopoly for the Apple Vision Pro, and we have played it. And we decided that we need to stick with the mobile device for longer period. I mean, it's a 5 minutes interesting experience, but then this is not yet there, or maybe it's not for us, or still we don't have enough resources, to be in this experimental phase. What we are putting the attention is actually building the map of live buildings, and this is so our players are sharing information about buildings. So we are building a map of buildings with additional layers of data, and this is what we want to do. This is where we believe the future of AR will be, when you will be putting the glasses and you will be seeing interesting things, not like a mess. Because if you would upload the current version of geolocation which was done for desktop, that would kill your eyes, because you have so much information which is not updated, especially after COVID, and still you don't want to have 300 icons flying around. And you cannot ask AI to make it for you. You have to do it each one by one. And of course, when you are moving, the height is the problem. So we are using players as agents, and they are uploading the current position for the icon when they are on the top of the building, in the middle of the building, on the entrance of the building. And this is a very hard work, done by humans. Hopefully with Monopoly this will be much easier to do, but for the future I believe those kind of wearables, they will have a practice use, and everything what has a practice use from technology, it's becoming a real use. So that would be my answer.
Last thing real quick on this. I don't think these will ever replace these. This is a strong stance for one simple reason. We love selfies. Humans freaking love selfies. I will never take a selfie with my pair of glasses to take. It's just not going to happen.
AR selfies.
So I will do. We will have both. Kind of like think of a smartwatch and Apple, like a smartwatch and phone kind of relationship. There will be a relationship between glasses and like smart devices. It's too good. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe then, to recap, like everyone, starting from Joe, like, maybe just last two sentence, like kind of a few last words for, like, for the audience to remember, like, think about in terms of AR and geolocation.
Game development is hard, and I love you. That's all. Yeah.
Guys, please observe everything what is coming from Geolocation, what has over 1 million downloads. That's as simple as that. Thank you.
Do not forget or do not afraid of the experimentations in the marketing, in the paid acquisition side, so you will succeed and unlock whatever you want to get.
Okay, thank you guys for great discussion. Thank you for the watching.